There we go. Cool. All right, we're on. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate you hopping on and doing this. It means a lot. Would you mind please introducing yourself and telling us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hey, I'm Colin, and I work as a music designer at Respawn Entertainment.
That's what's up. And the question I like to ask everyone from the jump is what games you're playing.
So I've got a bit of a backlog I'm trying to make my way through. So I'm jumping back onto Miles Morales in time for Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
And then I played like 1 hour of Ragnarok when it came out, but I didn't have a lot of time because we were working hard on shipping that game. So I'm gonna get back into that.
That's what's up. Yeah, there are a lot of games that I want to hop back on and replay. Miles, I played 3 times, wow. So I wanted to make sure I platinum that game because it's relatively short, but it hits every time I play it. You know, it just hits. It's like, man, I can't believe I'm playing a game like this because it's, so different. And the OG Spider-Man game was off the chain too. There was like so much to that, but then to see, Miles in a AAA game was really dope.
Oh yeah. Miles really been getting his flowers lately, with the Across the Spider-Verse, and he's going to be again in Spider-Man 2. So I'm really happy to see that character do his thing.
Did you see the movie?
Oh yeah, opening night. It was so good. Oh yeah, I saw it in Dolby. I paid $100, those $40. Once you get done with tickets and popcorn and all that.
Yeah.
It was worth it though. It was really good.
Yeah, it was totally worth it. I got to PlayStation in San Diego, the San Diego office, the visual arts office, they sent out an invite to screen it the day before. And I drove out there, because I live like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And I was like, yeah, I got to see it. Like I want to go and just check it out. And my coworker and I, watched it with a bunch of other people, and it's just so good. So good. The soundtrack is off the chain. Like I love the story. Everything's so fast paced. Yes, it's dope. And as soon as I got back home, I was like looking to see when it was going to come on stream, like somewhere like either on Apple TV or, I was like, when's it going to come out so I could watch it maybe on YouTube or something like that. And I ended up pre-ordering it on Apple TV or Apple Plus or whatever. And I just like bought it. I'm just like, I got to watch this again and again.
Oh yeah, I live right by for some reason they built like 3 AMCs right next to each other where I live, and so I'm in walking distance of that. So I'm gonna see it in theaters once, maybe more than one more time.
Yeah, they were saying that some of the theaters, because I thought it was just me tripping, but the audio was a little low. Like some of the dialogue sections was kind of low, and I was like, what are they saying? And then I went online and they said that a lot of the theaters didn't put the volume. They didn't turn it up to the right setting or whatever. It's supposed to be set at like a 7, and they, some of them didn't do that.
It's always a constant struggle, I think, to get theaters to play that ref, because some people are like, oh, that feels too loud, but you have to hit it at a certain point to really get what they were feeling when they were mixing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was tripping on that. I was like, dang, I know, I'm an old dude, right? But I'm not that old. I'm not that old where I can't hear what these fools are saying. So I had to lean in and be like, what are they talking about? And I was like, it's okay. I'm gonna watch it again, and I'll be able to listen to it in my home theater setup. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, let's see. So, like I mentioned earlier, and probably it seems like in every podcast, I tell people, they tell me what they're playing, and I tell them that I'm playing COD, which I'm trying to get off. I told you that. I tell everyone else that, and I'm slowly starting to get super annoyed by it. So much so that I think I could transition to another game, and I think I probably would want to replay Ragnarok. and maybe hop on that game I was telling you about, Agents of Mayhem on my PS4, because that's like a fun little third person shooter. I could just switch my brain off and play.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like eventually I need to jump on the Tears of the Kingdom, but I'm really, that's a whole nother, time sink that, I got to prepare myself for.
You have a Switch?
I do, yeah, because I got, I got the first one, that was right around the beginning of the pandemic, so I played that a lot when that first came out because I had nothing else to do.
Oh, I see. So I don't have a Switch. I bought my goddaughters a Switch. I thought it would be a lot of fun for them and the family to mess around with that, because they could play Mario Kart and all that stuff. So I thought it'd be fun. I bought them, I was going to say, Minecraft, and then the Kirby game. Yeah, so I don't know. I thought I'd want to Switch, but I don't even know if I'd play it. Like, I really thought about copping one, but I was like, I'm probably gonna be on the console most of the time.
It's definitely good when you're trying to I used to, I don't not anymore, but I used to take the bus to work, and so it was nice having that.
Oh yeah, the Switch would have been dope to have during the college days for sure, because I was taking public transportation all the time. I did have a PSP for a minute, but then I was like, I don't know if I want to bring that on the bus. Like, because I went to, I don't know. I mean, I probably could have, but I just was like, some of the people on the bus are kind of sus. Where I went to school out in Long Beach. So I was like, I don't think I want to do that. Okay, so another question for you, as I was looking at your website, and under on the bio section, I was like, because it shows you as a music editor, sound designer, composer, and Quidditch beater.
Oh yeah, I haven't updated that in a hot second.
I don't know. I looked up a little bit what Quidditch. I don't know what Quidditch is. Is Quidditch a real sport? Yeah.
So I mean, now it's no longer. I'll show you how long it's been since I've actually updated my website. It's no longer called Quidditch. It's called quad ball now.
Quad ball.
Yeah. So it's based off of the sport in Harry Potter, right? And so,
yeah, see, that's how I'm not a Harry Potter person.
So that's what it's like based off of. And then, the whole thing with J.K. Rowling's went down, and they're like, they were already looking to make it their own thing anyway. And that was kind of like, we can't be associated with this.
I see.
So
okay,
that's
what
quad
I changed
ball.
now.
Yeah.
Quad ball. Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to call you out, because I know, you're not updating your stuff all the time. So
I mean, no shame. I love playing that. I don't get to play it that much anymore, but I loved playing the game.
So who around here plays that? Like, where do you go to play that?
So I know there's a team. I'm out in Burbank, and I'm real lazy. There's a team out in Torrance. I know that plays, and I just haven't built up the energy to go down and see.
Yeah, that's a drive. That's a little push for you. Yeah.
So I haven't really been playing since I moved out here, but
that's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of local teams. It's really big in colleges. That's when around the time I started playing. Yeah.
That's funny, because I was thinking, what's the new popular one that's they play on tennis courts now? And they have their little rackets. It's not badminton, but they play it on tennis courts. Ooh,
like racquetball?
Nah, it's something totally squash. Is it squash?
Oh, there's squash, but that's up against the wall, I think.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. See, that's so bad. I can't wait to edit this out. Pickleball. There you go. Pickleball.
Oh yeah, my mom plays pickleball.
Oh, I heard it's fun. Have you ever messed with that?
No. I know she's trying to get me to play. We bought her equipment for her birthday. She's really into it.
That's dope. Yeah, it's fast paced. I saw people playing it online. I was like, that's pretty dope. But I don't know. I don't have any friends and stuff who even mess with that, or I don't know where I would go to even try and play that. So cool. All right. So where you from, Colin?
Yeah, so I'm originally from the East Coast, Jersey, born and raised. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Went to school in Pitt, but I've been out on the West Coast for about 7 years now, 7, 8 years.
You miss it? You miss home? Like, when's the last time you went back?
I got a chance to go at least every Christmas,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm actually going back this July. My nephew's birthday. He's turning 4, so I'm gonna fly out there. Spend the weekend, help celebrate that.
Okay, that's right. That's right. How long is that flight?
Ooh, it can go anywhere between like 6 to 8, depending on who you're flying with. Whether you're making any stops or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I've never even been anywhere over there, like in Jersey, any parts of New York or anything like that. I haven't. I mean, I'm wearing a big shirt. Never been. I've never been anywhere over there on that side. It's on my list of places to go. But yeah, like, what is it out here, or what is it that you miss? That you wish you had out here, in the LA area that is in Jersey.
I mean, the seasons definitely, you can get some seasons depending on where you are, like Seattle or something, but you really don't get a good fall like you do out there. It's, the vibe's different. The people are different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you're being nice too, because I know what you mean by that. I know exactly what you mean by that. I mean, it's a thing. Like, people know, like, LA is different, and I think even more so, even the past like maybe 5 years or so, like, attitudes and are way different than what they were before. It's like, what I'm saying, like, people don't really talk to each other anymore, and don't use common sense, and aren't like it doesn't seem like people are really as respectful as they used to be, like when I was coming up, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love LA. My mom's from LA. I used to come here all the time. I got family out here. I do love it, but I don't think I ever stop being an East Coast kid.
That's right. Yeah, I see that. It is a trip. I mean, I don't like saying that I've gotten used to it, but I definitely have gotten used to it. But we're also thinking, like, me and the wifey are definitely considering like moving to another state, because the vibe does kind of get on our nerves a little bit. I mean, it's a lot better now because we both work remotely, from home. So we don't have to deal with that commute, which, I used to have to drive to downtown LA over at USC for like 7 years. And that was like soul sucking, that back and forth drive. We don't have to deal with that now, but I think still just, when we go out to like restaurants and stuff, it's like there's only certain places where the vibe is really positive and like it feels good to be out and doing stuff. There's a lot of other places where it's just like, why am I out here dealing with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just gotta know. You gotta find your people. I think I'm finally starting to do that, since I've been out in LA, I guess, for about 1.5 years now, almost 2 years. And so, it's a big place and it can be isolating, but there are people who feel the same way. So
yeah, exactly. My bad, dude. Where did you stay before LA? You said you've been out in Cali or the West Coast for like 7 years. Where'd you stay before LA?
Oh, I've been all over. I mean, you want to get the quick rundown?
Oh yeah, it's all good, man.
Okay, yeah. So Jersey, then Pittsburgh for school, and then I went to San Francisco for like a post-grad program. I did that. I moved down to LA for about a year. Cool. Get a job back, bring me back to the Bay Area. Done with that, then I get hit up for a job in Seattle. I'm in Seattle. Halfway through that job, pandemic hits. I finish off that job. I get another offer down in Marin County, back in the Bay.
Oh my goodness.
Spent about a year there, and now I'm back here.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. So did you have to jump to up north when you were working? Because you worked at PlayStation a couple times. Is that when you had to jump back up there?
I would. PlayStation was the second time I lived in the Bay Area,
Okay.
and the third time I was apprenticing with Skywalker Sound. So they're up in Marin. So I spent my time there.
Okay. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Even like the vibe up north, and down here in SoCal is very different.
Definitely.
I don't know if you noticed that. Cool. That's right. Dang, you have been everywhere. I just lived out in SoCal like pretty much all my life. Never lived anywhere else really. Dang.
It's a trip. I'm happy to be sitting down roots, but at the same time, it's nice to get to experience different places and different vibes that come with that. I really felt it's something the job didn't make me do it. I probably wouldn't have done it, and so I'm kind of happy that I had to jump around a bit.
Yeah, I feel you. So how did you get into the game industry? You've done so much. You have, been to a lot of different studios. You've worked in film and games. How'd you get all that started?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad at Pitt, and I studied music there, but it was like a general music degree. At that time, they didn't have specific tracks, or they were just getting that up and coming. So I got a general music degree. I dabbled in like ethnomusicology, and I really want to be a film scorer, but I left that. I loved what I did there. I loved my time there. Definitely was not ready for what came next. Outside of the few occasional short films I did for students, and so I ended up applying for like post grad and grad programs, and I got accepted to the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, where they had at the time it was just an undergrad and a post grad, so I did the post grad program for the technology and applied composition program, and so. At the time, I thought that program was like, 50% film scoring and like 50% games, and I was, really just interested in the film scoring plus sound design, because at that time, I was doing sound design from my when I went to college with my film program, but it was more like 75% games. And so
you didn't know that, huh?
I didn't know that when I got there. No, but I'm really happy that happened, because that the school had like a relationship with PlayStation, in which we were part of this program, and if you if you took the class and you got you did everything right, you could have been chosen to have your music recorded at PlayStation, and so
That's
that
dope.
was run by one of the music managers and a former music manager up there, and so when it came time to apply for the internship. A bunch of us applied, everyone else applied, and for whatever reason, they saw something in me, and I ended up being a music production intern out in PlayStation San Mateo. And I kind of already knew about music editorial for like film, because I did a big interview with a bunch of people a while back for a class, but I didn't know that job really existed for games. And by the time I was done with that internship, I was pretty much hooked. Like, I knew that's like, I want to do this.
So were you the only person chosen for the internship?
Yeah, they have once a summer. There's one in San Mateo, and then there's also one in Santa Monica. They may have 3 now. I'm sure the program has changed a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the time there was 2, and then I think they also had like one in the fall as well.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Even getting into into the school the conservatory, like getting into that program is probably like really like there's probably like a small group who actually got accepted into that, right?
Yeah. I was really lucky. It was pretty new too. It was only in its second year, I want to say, that program. So it was very fresh, and there was a lot of ability to kind of shape it how you wanted it to be.
Okay, that's right. That's dope. And like even before, I think we've had this conversation before. You've always been, you've always been a music person for the longest time. Like I don't remember actually. Did you play an instrument?
Oh
back in
yeah,
the day?
yeah. I started out. I played trumpet all throughout. From
That's right.
elementary school onwards. I played some drums. Like I did the whole ethnomusic college thing. I studied like African percussion when I was in my undergrad, and then I picked up guitar and a couple of instruments. So music has always been a thing in my life.
Got you. And then before you went to the concert, so that was like one of the biggest reasons why you got into the conservatory. But like even before that, like as far as like music and stuff like that, like you were just naturally drawn to it, or did you have family who was into music? I'm just curious about what the inspiration for all that.
Yeah, so neither of my parents really play an instrument, but my older sister, about 2 years older than me, she picked up the flute. And so I, being the little brother, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to do an instrument too." And then I want to do drums, and my mom's like, "You're not playing drums in my apartment." So I picked the next loudest thing I could think of.
That's right. Yeah, that's dope. Okay, cool. Yeah, because this stuff, like especially just like with music, or like with anything that you get into when you're older, usually there's a little bit of inspiration or some kind of background, like in your upbringing, that you stick with this thing, and you go to college and you study it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm always curious, like why you went into music from the jump. And that's really cool. I'm always curious, like what it would have been like if I would have learned an instrument. Or I always say this, and it's like, what would it have been like if I knew I could do games as a career? I'm always tripping on that. Like, man, what if, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, originally I wasn't going to go to school for music. I was going to go to school for anthropology. I love my music, but I was like, I was really into history and the social sciences and all that, and I just kind of literally at the last second, you look at my acceptance letter from Pitt, it says "Welcome to the anthropology department," so I really changed my major at the last second.
You sure did. But that's cool. I'm glad that worked out, man. That's like what if they didn't have like a game, like it wasn't anything about games, like that would have been like a trip.
Oh yeah, things would have been totally different. Yeah.
Right. That's so crazy, man. Just that little piece right there. That's really a trip. Cool. So, after the internship, you've been to a couple places. You're a music editor, sound engineer, freelance dialogue editor. Yeah, you've done a lot before actually coming back to PlayStation. Before that time, like, was it planned? Oh, actually, you worked on games. I'm tripping on at the Formosa group.
Yeah,
so
it's been mostly dope. Games for me. Outside of like my little side projects that I do. Like most of my income has been games since I graduated.
Got you. That's right. Yeah, all this stuff is games. Yeah, I'm tripping. Yeah, you've done so much, man. It's really like I was actually looking at all your titles and stuff, and I'm curious, like, out of all of those, like, what has been like the favorite project that you've actually worked on?
Ooh. Kind of hard, each project kind of gave me something different, like, Survivor, which just came out. I feel like I've been, it's the project where the first project where I came in, I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I think I know I'm good at it. And, my team gave me a lot of freedom to really, to work on that. But in terms of, I think the favorite title I've ever worked on, it had to have been Concrete Genie.
Oh, that's cool.
With Pixel Opus, best in peace.
I know. That is cool. Why was that one your favorite?
I'm a pretty gentle guy. I don't play shooters. I'm not into like I mean I love the AAA industry, but there's not a lot of times where you can play a game that's about healing your community and making friends and making art. And I was very grateful that I got the opportunity to work on a game like that with a team like that. And that was also, I started out doing dialogue on that game, and the team at PlayStation kind of let me jump over to help out with sound design on that. So that was one of my big sound design, one of my first big sound design credits was working on that game. So it has a very special place in my heart, and I hope I get to work on games like that again in the future. I love the games I work on now, but there's something to be said about making something that really is about the healing and the art, and everything from the music of that game to the artwork just says this is for artists and by artists.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I haven't played Concrete Jungle, but it looked like a beautiful game, and the concept I did love the concept very much. There are games like from the studio That Game Company, I believe they're called. What are those? The games that they don't really have like an objective, but it's very free flowing and relax. Actually, I think flow is like where it started. If I'm not mistaken. But yeah, That Game Company studio, they have a lot of those games where they rely on a lot of the artistic. There's a lot of artistic value, and it's just very open world, like free. There's the music plays a big part of it too, and it's super relaxing. I have that stuff I actually bought those games like years ago, but I never hopped on.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I'm really happy to see, that spirit really, living in indie games. I haven't really done much in indie game. The vast majority of my career has been AAA, but I love seeing all the interesting, creative ways that people are approaching video games in that sphere.
Yeah, it's so I had to look it up because my memory is trash. So it's Sky. I think that one is a co-op, and I downloaded that too because I want to play with somebody. And there's Journey, Flower, and Flow.
Yeah,
there we go.
I think Journey was definitely the biggest of the three.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, I know so many people, game designers use Journey as their one of the cardinal games that helped shape how they wanted to approach games.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, dope. Yeah, I have those. On my PS. Gotta check those out. And before I go any further, if you want to kind of explain first of all, what a sound designer does and what a music designer, what they both do, and like kind of what are the roles and responsibilities. Because even when I told you before, like when I was recruiting for a music designer, I didn't know there was a difference between the sound and music team. There's it's different. So I'm just curious. Of what course. The difference is.
So you can basically break up the audio department into three different groups: sound design, music, and dialogue. And so of course, dialogue is everything that has to do with the voice being recorded or being processed and implemented in the game. Pretty much everything that has to do with that, besides writing it. Dialogue kind of takes care of works in tandem with narrative to get that in the game. Sound design, anything that's not music or voice is that's taken care of by the sound department. They help decide how things are going to sound. They make every single thunder crack you hear, every single footstep, every single creature sound. They design and implement that into the game. And then music department, specifically music design, what I do is we work with the composers, usually freelancers that we bring on, and we work with them and the music director to help decide the flow of the music in the game, to help edit music once we get it back, as well as implement it into the game. And so, most of my job is kind of helping plot out how the music is going to be interactive and flow throughout a level, and then edit it up, because you make it anywhere between 3 to 7 hours worth of music per game, but you have to find a way to make that last for a 35+ hour experience. And so finding creative ways to get more life out of all that music is part of my job, and then implementing it.
So you're responsible for the music for the entirety of the game, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
We don't write it, but we do pretty much everything else with it.
That's crazy. Do you do it in? Is it chronological when you're going through? Is it chronological? Like, do you work on it from the very beginning parts of the game, or do you jump to different sections? Like, how does that work?
It depends, from team to team. Like for our game, we had 2 music designers. At the time, we were called music implementers, and so we split it up by planet. And so,
okay,
yeah,
okay. And you're talking about Jedi, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Survivor. Yeah.
Yeah,
and so
you
Survivor,
can talk about it. You can talk about it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to talk about it, yeah. Yes, Survivor, we had, a multitude of planets that people would, jump back and forth to on the crypt path. And so I would have my handful of planets, and then the other music implementer would have his handful of planets. And so that's how we decided to shape it up. But we could have done it, you take the first half of the game, I take the second half of the game. It really just depends on how the team wants to divvy up that.
That's what's up. Okay. Cool. And then explaining what music implementation is, like, what is that?
Yeah. So that just means putting, once you decide how you want the music to play back, both in a linear and non-linear fashion, you have to put it in the game engine, as well as, in our case, we tend to use middleware. On our game, we used a middleware that's called Wise, and that just helps you facilitate and organize how the music will be played back and interactive. And so a lot of my job is maintaining and implementing into Unreal and Wise, and figuring out how we're going to hook into the game, so that if a bunch of enemies show up, making sure that combat music plays. If you decide to skip a cinematic, which you shouldn't, the cinematics are great, but if you decide to skip a cinematic, hooking that up so that the music stops and the next piece of music plays.
Right, that transition.
Yeah, and some other games it may be like, you hit the second health bar at the for the big boss, and the music switches. That's what we do.
Okay, that's dope. I love that. And a lot of those little things too, you don't really you don't really catch it a lot, which I really love. Like, it's there, but that level of detail you guys are working on all the time when you're doing sound and music, which is really cool. Yeah,
I mean, ideally for us, it sounds kind of sad, but if we're doing our job right, you don't think someone cut anything up or did that. You should think that the music is completely 100% just written as is for each moment.
Yeah, it's really fortuitous that I was today. I got an invite for a PlayStation panel specifically for a sound designer and a Foley artist that work with visual arts in San Diego. So we all got to hop on this panel, and they talked about their experiences in their roles, and it was actually it was super. I don't want to say inspiring, but it's a side of it's a side of sound that I didn't know existed. Like, I didn't know what a Foley artist was for the longest time until I came to PlayStation. And I think it's really dope. And I'm just wondering, how much interaction do you have with those teams? Like, do you work with a sound designer probably, and do you also work with the Foley artist as well, or any other teams that maybe I don't know about? Or yeah.
So I mean, for us, we tend to interact with most teams because of how highly collaborative it is. Like obviously sound designers, narrative, we're interacting with. We for me, not so much Foley, because that's more in the sound design. Sound designers tend to work with the Foley artist so they can get the Foley that they need for the game. But I work fairly closely with dialogue and sound design, narrative, level design, combat design, because we're hooking into all of their implementation to make sure that the music flows correctly with whatever they do.
That makes sense. That's what's up. And you've been on both sides of it, sound and music. How has that role been different for you jumping into music design now?
I think for me, it's all connected. It all comes from from a general sense, the same set of skills, and it's more like how do you apply it? For me, editorial is I've edited dialogue, I've edited sounds, I've edited music, and it all comes from that same place of attention to detail and attention to the little things, and it just kind of depends on how I choose to apply it. I will say each role has its very specifics. With dialogue, I may when I was at PlayStation doing dialogue, sometimes I'd be doing nonstop editing people's voices all day. Other times I'd be being a recording engineer for a promo, or for sometimes I even did some recording for the game itself. And so that was fairly different from sound design, where sometimes I'm implementing Foley. I worked a lot with the Foley artist on Concrete Genie, because that was kind of my job on that game, and implementing that. But other times I'd just be recording sounds all day that we needed.
Okay.
So all very similar, but each have their own very particular set of skills that need to be honed.
Because when I was recruiting for sound and music designers, I don't remember which one actually, but when I spoke with them, like with the candidates, they always made it seem like they had to choose one or the other when they were going into their careers. Like I found very few people who had both skill sets. You know what I'm saying? And like it was always a trip. So I think I spoke to one person, and they said they said something to the effect of it's like a totally different thing. Like you either have to do one or the other. So that's why I wanted to ask about like kind of how different it is doing sound and music design.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's something to be said about AAA rewards specialization, 100%. And so I feel, I've kind of, me bouncing around was, one part I loved doing everything, one part necessity. I wanted to pay my bills, and I wanted to pay my bills doing sound. And so I wasn't too picky about how I did that, which, may have slowed down my progress a little bit compared to people who did sound design straight out of school and just kept doing that. So there is something to be said about, picking something and sticking to it. But I just love it all too much.
I mean, given like you've done it all and you found success clearly in jumping into all those different roles, like would you recommend that for an aspiring like music or sound designer? Would you how do you you do mentor, so I know, and we'll talk about that later too, but do you usually recommend that someone choose a path so that they could be more specialized, or what do you tell them?
I usually say, let's look back at what you're looking to do, because that's going to affect how you orient your goals and your interests. If you're looking to work in the indie space, then being able to do a little bit of everything, being a sort of jack of all trades, is incredibly useful. Because sometimes you may be the solo audio person, maybe you're working with a little boutique team of like 4 or 5, but you still have to have that knowledge of, music implementation, sound design, dialogue editorial. And so, having all these skills is very much rewarded in the indie space. If you think, oh, I want to, work on Call of Duty and that's it, how am I going to do that? Maybe you're like, well, the recruiter and the hiring manager is probably looking for someone with a very specialized set of skills. So maybe it's like, well, I like dialogue the best, and that's going to get me to where I want to be. So maybe I just focus on dialogue because that's going to look the best for a AAA environment. I wasn't sure where I was going to end up in terms of, work. So I just kind of kept on taking the jobs that were presented in front of me, and my mindset was I like doing it. I'm not going to hate doing it, so I'm just going to put my all into it, no matter whether it's dialogue editorial or music design or sound design.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice. If you think about going into indie, then it's okay to be a jack of all trades. And then, if you want to go into AAA, then think about specializing.
Yeah, but even though exceptions to the rules, right?
That's true based on the studio too, and like how big their team is. Like that's so true. Yeah.
Like the audio director of Sony Santa Monica, Justin Bell. At Obsidian, he was the composer and the audio director there. And so, a lot of people would say you can't do that, but I think there are enough people that have proven that you can. The only advice is think about what you want to do and put yourself into it. You may not necessarily succeed, but other people have, so it's not an impossible task.
That's bad. I know I should know his name. Like I should know who that is, but is that homeboy with the beard?
I don't remember the last time I saw Justin. Last time I saw him, he didn't have a beard, maybe some stubble. He's a real cool dude. But yeah, he was at Obsidian for the longest time, and he jumped over to you guys a few years back, and now I think he just got audio director with Sony Santa Monica, and he's crazy talented. Like he's one of those people that shows like, yeah, you can, it may not necessarily be easy, but it is possible.
Justin Bell, right?
Justin Bell, yeah.
Oh, that ain't him. That's somebody different. I'm thinking of somebody else.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I see this guy right now. That's cool though. That's cool. Yeah, I'm bad with names in general, but that's what's up. Oh wow. Oh, so is there what do you like the most about your job?
For me, it's the collaboration. That's all I know. Even when I was first starting to do film, the thing that interested me the most about being at the time a composer for film was the idea that I got to collaborate with all these different specialized departments, people who are so amazingly talented at what they do, and that's kind of been the through line for me. Even when I end up doing games. The thing I love most is getting to work with some of the best people at what they do and collaborate to make this thing that's better than anything we individually could do. What is it? The sum is greater than the
something
the
of its parts.
Yeah, I fully believe that that's what we're doing. That's my favorite part is the people and the skills. Like I talk to this guy every now and then who does lighting design. I didn't know that was even a thing.
What's it called?
Lighting design.
Oh, lighting design.
Yeah. Oh. And the things that they do in that department is practically witchcraft to me. I don't know how they can make a video game sky looks more real than what I'm seeing outside.
Wow.
And that blew my mind that I get to interact with people like that who are doing such cool things.
Yeah. And I've heard so many great things about Respawn too, and you've echoed that like in our last conversation about Respawn. And I think there are a lot of people that stick around there because it's a really dope culture over there. I'm sure it's continued to be that way since you've been at Respawn, right?
Oh yeah, I really do love. I'm love working here. I'm happy they brought me on full time because it's one of those companies that really let you ply your own path.
Oh, that's great.
The big thing is that they like bringing in cool people, and you know that's the kind of company that's like, we want to, wherever you decide to go in this, we want you because we know you can do that. And yeah, I have a lot of love for the attention to detail and the work ethic that is part of the lifeblood of this company.
That's what's, yeah, and I like the I like to see studios level people up and see, want to keep people to see them grow, because in games, especially AAA, people are coming on as contract. You came on as contract, and getting converted is kind of a rarity. Like at least in my experience, it's a very rare thing, and it sucks. But I like to see that there are studios, even like Valkyrie, like they're really good about keeping people on and having like a family. It feels like a family like environment, and they want to see people grow into a role. Like I love that. Like I love seeing that. I want to see that more. Like it's really tough these days, but I love seeing that.
Yeah, there's definitely a few companies that I know of that are very good about trying their best to keep people on, to convert people as soon as possible. And you can only hope that catches on with other studios, because we gotta make room for people to grow. You gotta make room for people to get in this industry and not struggle, from job to job, and have a sense of security.
And especially now, because now is like, I've never seen anything like this as far as layoffs, especially in games and tech. It's like it's every day there's like multiple studios that are letting people go, and and recruiting, sometimes we get like a list of all the people that have been let go. So if there are opportunities to reach out and maybe think that help them out and see if there's a fit for anyone on our teams, like we hit them up. But it's hard to keep up now. There's just so many. And it's really tough. And I've seen people at all levels struggle, to get interviews now, because everyone else is trying to get in at a studio too. So, I don't know where I was going with that, but it is definitely a tough time. It's definitely a rough time. And being able to go to a spot where you feel comfortable and know that the people, your team is going to have your back and want to see you grow and succeed, like that's really the kind of stuff that we need in a lot of our game studios.
Oh yeah, 100%.
What was the thing I was going to ask? So for any aspiring folks who want to get into audio or music, dialogue or editorial, actually I should just ask more specifically for you, because what are actually the tools or software that you use on a daily? I know you mentioned Wise.
Yeah.
What's in Unreal? What are some of the other tools that you're using that you would recommend that folks get familiar with?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, for me, Wise and Unreal are two things that I'm probably gonna be in one or the other every single day. And if not that, then I'm in some sort of digital audio workstation. For the most part, I use Reaper. Usually it's something like Reaper or Pro Tools that music designers tend to use, though. It could be Nuendo. All that matters that you have familiarity with a digital audio workstation.
So is Reaper like a middleware too?
Reaper Reaper comes under what we call a digital audio workstation, which is how we would edit or master or mix the music or sound design or dialogue. And so being acquainted with at least one of them, I think is really important. And you can kind of pick up whatever the studio wants you to do. You can pick that up But having that kind of knowledge, knowledge of middleware, whether that's Wise or Fmod, is important. And I really being just kind of agnostic when it comes to the type of tools, and working on honing the craft, I think is the most important. How good are you, at least for music design, how quickly can you turn around and edit, how quickly can you figure out, oh, the music isn't playing, how can you figure out the logic that goes into figuring out how to solve that pipeline, whether it's in, checking all the buses in Wise, or checking to see if something is unhooked in a blueprint in Unreal, having those kind of logical, having that logical skill set is probably the most important.
Are any of these tools like, do you have to pay for these, or is it subscription based now like everything else, or I'm not really sure.
So Unreal and Wise, you can just download.
Okay.
Yeah, there are of course going to be some fees when if you try to monetize something or sell something. But if you're just looking to mess around with it, both Unreal and Wise are free to download, and they both have guides that let you kind of get a handle on things. Reaper has a very generous trial period that lets you get pretty much everything. Everything that the full version does, and once you feel like you want to buy it, you should of course buy it. But Reaper is very generous in the link that allows you to play around with it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because you're reminding me of all the tools too, because I haven't recruited for those roles in such a long time. Like when I was reading up on it, like I remember, because I forgot what a DAW was too, but I remember, reading about Reaper and Fmod. I just don't remember any of that stuff. But it's helpful to know, like, anyone coming up, like, what are the tools that need to familiarize themselves with. So that's dope.
Definitely, yeah.
So, do you? Now you probably. There's a little bit of a break, but have you been working on any personal projects lately?
Lately, currently, no, because I'm still trying to I'm calming down from the big push at the end and all that. But I do plan on there's a lot of stuff I'm looking to do to better myself. Always trying to learn. I know a little bit of Python. I'm trying to get better at that.
That's dope.
I'm hoping to get back into writing personal music again. That's something that kind of fell to the wayside when as work does, kind of takes the front seat. And so I'm trying to jump back and get back into writing more music, doing more personal sound design. Every now and then, I may have a buddy that's like, I got a little project I'm doing. I'm like, I'll work with you on that because I like working with people.
For Python, is that something you want to learn because it'll be helpful in your day to day?
Yeah, I think any type of tool that allows you to expand your tool set and allows you to expand what you can do is useful. Python is used a lot for scripting, especially in like Reaper, for example. Reaper lets you do a lot of scripting. And so having knowledge of Python would be useful for me if I want to help create tools that would make our pipeline more efficient. That's a good skill set to have. I want to get better at in general at coding. So maybe there's something that's being funky with music in Unreal, but it's on the code side of things. Hopefully I can be good enough that I can go in and at the very least identify what it is. Then maybe, point to it, to call over an audio program to actually fix it. But at least I know where to look and what it means.
No, that's great. That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know that's a valuable skill set for a music designer. That's dope. Okay, cool.
It's not like a necessary thing, but it's one of those I think the more you do it, the more you want to have more control over everything that's involved with your work.
And any general advice, outside of the tools and software and stuff that we talked about, like any kind of advice for aspiring music designers or sound designers?
Yeah, I'd say just one, make sure you're experiencing the media that you want to work in. I for the longest time I would say, well, I'm not actually a gamer, because when I go home, more often than not, I'm probably going to be turning on TV or watching a movie. I don't play games as much as other people, but I do love playing games, and I still, I'm looking at what other people like PlayStation are doing in their games to, understand how what their approach to music design is. And so that curiosity, I think, is incredibly important. And then it's I'm not sure if how helpful this advice is, because everyone gives it, but just kind of keeping your nose to the grindstone and work on that skill set. If you're a sound designer, keep on working on redesigns and getting feedback from other people and implementing that feedback over and over again. Learn how to be good at taking feedback and acting upon it. That's like 80% of what I do when it comes to like my music edits. Is sometimes a music edit is one and done, approved by my boss. Other times, we're going 8-9 times back and forth on how to get it to be at a quality level that we're all happy with. And so learning how to take feedback and turn it around quickly, and then get feedback again and turn it around quickly. Or then maybe, completely tossing what I'm doing and trying something completely different and then getting feedback has been an incredibly useful skill I've picked up. Arguably one of the most useful ones, because if you're not good at taking feedback, you're not going to last.
No doubt, especially if you want to be a creative artist. Like that's you got to be able to do that. It definitely builds thick skin for sure, and something we all should have as artists for sure. And also, for anyone who's like creating reels or building their portfolio of everything they've created, like what are some ways that they could show the kind of the stuff that they've done? I know there are a lot of different platforms where you could post like your music and like the sound stuff. Like I'm not familiar with like work like what advice do you give for as far as them creating their reels and like their website and stuff like that?
I'd say, there's this group of people who, it's Kevin Vegamy and a couple others, who run this thing called Reel Talk, REELTALK. And that's an incredibly useful tool to, if you get the chance to have them review your reel on I think they do it through Twitch or YouTube. They give such great feedback on that. They also look at people's websites, and so watching that show, simply just watching it is useful, because these are some of the most talented people in our industry, willing to give their time to give this kind of feedback. I'd also say post it on Twitter for as long as it will last. Is still a big place to find other sound designers and music designers and game audio folks who are incredibly helpful. And if you post your reel and be like, I'd love some feedback, you're gonna get 5 people from some of the best companies you can imagine being like, yeah, this and this. People are very giving. But you got to be willing to put yourself out there and take their feedback and action on it, and then be like, hey, I did this thing, what do you think?
For the reels, is there a dedicated tool or any kind of like software that could help like put together your reels, or did you just do it from scratch pretty much in like Premiere Pro or something like that?
Yeah, I did mine. Nowadays I use DaVinci Resolve. They have like a free version. But I think I made my first reel with like Apple's
iMovie.
iMovie, yeah. I think I did my first rule with iMovie. So, whatever gets the job done,
It's true. It's true.
You don't have to be a cinematographer or an editor. As long as your reel showcases your skill correctly. But it is useful to kind of check out other people's reels to kind of get an idea of like, oh, how long should I make it? How many clips should I make it? That kind of stuff to get a sense of like, a general sense of what an industry standard reel, competitive reel might be like.
Yeah. And for reels, I know there's probably a recommended, time length as far as like how long you post your stuff for. Like, I remember when I was reviewing reels, I think, 2 minutes for me was like the most I could not stand watching or listening to, but, because if you're reviewing a bunch of portfolios every day, I think 2 minutes is like all the attention I could take. So I don't know. That's just me on the recruiter side, but I don't know if other people post their stuff for like, how long is you have yours on your website here?
How long? I'm not sure if my reel should be an example to anybody.
You're tripping. It's almost 4 minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like it's. I really should. I have another reel. So this is like what I put on my website. When I was like actively applying for more sound design roles, I had a more truncated reel that was between like 1 and 2 minutes that I sent people. That was a lot more succinct. I had this reel on my website, but like, well, if you go to my website, chances are you're just kind of looking around, but the things that I would send to recruiters and to apply was a lot shorter. Because like you said, I knew they'd be like, first 30 seconds. Okay. Does this catch my ear? Yes or no? Good. Move on to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like what you did because you also, you display the project name and then also, your role, like what you did for this particular section. So that's always something that I'm curious about when I'm looking through reels too. Like, what were you responsible for? Like, you got to tell us.
Oh yeah. You got to be really clear about that. Especially if you worked on a project with a bunch of people.
Yes, exactly. Okay, cool. Love that. All right. Awesome. And another thing too, would you mind talking about GADA for a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So for the past, how long has it been? A little bit over a year now, I guess. I've been working with this super cool nonprofit called the Game Audio Diversity Alliance. And currently, for some reason, they entrusted me to help them run their fundraising. So I've been doing that. We actually just completed a fundraiser a couple days ago. Where we raised money to send, a diverse set of speakers to this upcoming conference called GameSoundCon. And so we're working with them to help, pay for stipends. But yes, GADA, the focus of GADA is to help increase diversity within the game audio field.
I love that. That is all. How many fundraisers do you guys typically run throughout the year?
Right now, because we're only in our second year, I want to say. So far, we've run 2 very specific fundraisers. One was back in November, and then there's this one that we just did, and we're probably gonna do another one. Most likely again in November with the Day of Giving, which is this international day that people and organizations will come together to help raise awareness and funds for all the different kind of nonprofits, and so we take part of that as well.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's dope. And I went on the website, and it's a fairly small team, and I really do love what you guys are doing. Is everyone on the team from all over the US, or where's everyone pretty much housed?
Oh yeah, we have people from all over. Some of us live in LA, some live in Seattle. We have, I know one person's in Pittsburgh, another one's in New York, and our scholars, because our main thing that we do is that we help raise money to send people to this thing called the School of Video Game Audio, which is this fantastic online course that people can take to enrich their knowledge of game audio and get them kind of ready to enter the industry. And so those scholars kind of come from everywhere. We've had some, based out of the U.S. Some are, international.
That's really dope. I love that. Yeah, I mean, this is going to continue to grow for sure. I don't see a lot of these orgs. That's really dope, though. Yeah. So I think that's all the questions I got. If you want to add anything, that's cool. If not, I got all your info here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there's anyone who is interested in music design, definitely feel free to reach out. It's such a it's been around for a while, but it's also this kind of new thing that I think more and more studios are realizing. It's a thing that they want and need, and so we're still kind of figuring out what that looks like at a lot of studios. So I always like to be a resource when I can to others coming up, especially folks from people of color, queer folks, those who are trying to find their way in this industry, which can be very welcoming, but also very daunting.
No doubt it's challenging, and as we've talked about before, it's the reason why I started More Diverse Games and just trying to get more diversity in this industry that it's like much needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to keep saying it over and over again. We shouldn't have to keep explaining it to the higher ups. It's like, I'm still seeing the same those same group photos in the about sections of a lot of studios that got a lot of the same people in it. I'm like, all right, it's we're in 2023. It's got to change, man. I mean, come on now. But I love this. I love what you're doing with GADA. I love that you're working in games and AAA. I love everything that you do, and thank you again for hopping on, man. So it's a big deal. I appreciate you.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been great, and I think what you're doing with this is like another thing that's much needed in our industry.
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm trying. Trying to do what I could do outside of the 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know how that is. The last thing you want to do after you're sitting in a chair for 8-10 plus hours a day is to sit in another chair. But someone's got to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, this stuff is, no doubt it's going to reach people and be of value, eventually. You know what I'm saying? Because we're small right now, but it's all good. All right. Thanks again, Colin. I appreciate you, man. Definitely going to keep in touch to see how things are going and see how you're growing at Respawn.
Definitely, yeah. And definitely I'll keep in touch with you. Love seeing what you're doing at a PlayStation.
No doubt. All right, Colin. You take care, bro.
You too. Have a good one.
All right.